Well, today I'm going to get a little bit serious with you. I was reading a sci-fi.com article about a stunt woman who did a stunt for the last Resident Evil movie, and it talks about how with her stunt, her face landed into some type of object, so it dislocated her jaw. It messed up her eye, where it's sort of like a droopy eye, and also partially paralyzed her. And what it made me think about was when I was in high school, my best friend and I were walking to the bus stop. And as we got one block from the bus stop, I got jumped from behind by 4 or 5 people. And I remember being on the ground. I was getting kicked with the tennis shoes, whatever shoes they're wearing. There was someone named Junior. He was on top of me punching. And I remember how there was this little kid who was just hitting me with this broomstick. And I kept thinking to myself, why is he hitting me with this broomstick? And then all of a sudden, he raised the broomstick up and he swung it like it was a baseball player. And it landed right here, this thing right on my little lip thing. And it just busted it open and I was bleeding. And I was like, so it reminded me of like the stunt woman, because I can imagine the force that her face had to hit the object for her jaw to dislocate, because I think they said something that was partially missing or something. I don't know, but I know what it is to be hit super hard and have something bust up open on you. And I remember just bleeding, and I still have it to the day. I got my first tattoo when I was 16. This is before tattoos were even cool. I got one for free. And then when I read the section about her with her eye, I remember I used to live in San Francisco. I was having headaches like someone was beating a drum on my head for about a week to 2 weeks. And I kept going to optometrists, and I was going to doctors, and no one could ever tell me what to do. And I remember I went to sleep one night with a terrible headache, and I woke up, and then my right eye was like basically like this. You see how it is now? It was like even more coming out the socket. Everything was swollen around here. And I was like, went back to bed. I thought it was a bad dream. I got up again. Now it was even bigger coming out. Things were swollen. My head was hurting. And I remember all I could do was get a taxi to the hospital. I went to the emergency room. And I remember waking up after the surgery. I just remember waking up. This eye was covered. I had like a patch on my chest because they did a surgery where they took a tube through took a tube into my chest to do like a removal to remove some poison. So I want you to think of a paper towel, like when you put a paper towel over a wet spot. You know how the paper towel starts soaking up the water. Well, that was going up in my up here. I had like the sinusitis, so it was just like a giant, just poisonous thing slowly working its way up to my brain. So if this is my eye, I think my brain is probably right around here or something. So we're like talking about a few millimeters from the bacteria contaminating the brain, and then once the brain is contaminated, it's just game over. So I remember when they were talking about her droopy eye, because I remember it took me like several months before I could gain control of my eye, and I had like double vision and foggy vision. So I remembered that part, and I remembered how else. And then so I was reading that article, and I was just remembering like how I could just imagine the pain she was in. Because I was like, when it comes to the eye part, I remember I was on chemicals for about about 4 weeks. I had to get chemicals because I remember when I woke up in the bathroom, people were screaming like, oh, oh. There's like someone screaming next to me because I was in the intensive care unit. Because at first I just come out of surgery and they just put you together. And I was in a Catholic hospital. So I don't know if that's how they do it or if every hospital does it. And I remember I had tubes all in my body. Like I was like one of those Frankenstein movies where you're trying to get your power, like they're like trying to bring you back to life. And the nurse was giving me like those, like back then, like it was like the Tylenol 3 because they didn't have opium anymore. So I remember I used to always wait for the nurse to come in and bring me that Tylenol 3 because I had like a terrible headache here, and also I had like the pain in my chest where they did the surgery. So I was just like, I could just empathize for that lady. And I was thinking, well, I'm 51 years old, and I can remember, like, only for like maybe just a little bit of patience and a bit of luck, you know, I thought about some of the crazy things I did. I mean, I remember when we were in college, we stole a truck and we flipped the truck, and we just left the truck out there. We flipped the truck, we got the truck back up, we brought it back in, and we were working student conference housing, and then we never got caught. I also remember we used to like go out to we went out to a construction site. I had been drinking one night, and I just started like breaking windows on some type of tractor and stuff, and luckily we got away from there. And also I remember when I was in Japan, so I was like, okay, in Japan, like it's like a kind of like people didn't really steal back then. I remember I stole a bike, and I thought I was being cool. I was doing wheelies. I was hopping up and down on the curves. And then this car just came out of nowhere and just bam, knocked me up, tore the bike up. And like all my little extra money I had, supposedly to party in Japan, was gone because I had to pay for some guy's bike. And then I remember I had to go to the hospital, and I think when it talks about the lady and her walking, I think I had to learn how to like walk again. I was limping. So I just think about the crazy stuff that I did, man. So only maybe from like the grace of God and a little luck, like for that stunt person who got injured. It's just like maybe I know people who are actors and people who've done stunts, and I know how to do like remember martial arts. So it's like you only like one technique, or you're just like a couple of seconds away for either having a successful stunt or a couple of seconds away from being like her. Jaw dislocated, eye messed up, and she has like partial paralysis, and she's trying to sue because I know how it is for those medical bills, man. They're expensive, especially after you get healed physically. Then you have to learn how to use all your appendages again, and you got to go to the physical therapist. That's what they called them. So, yeah, I was just thinking something. Okay, here I'm 51 now. I'm about to move into my new apartment, and I was just reflecting on like what are the crazy things I've done and like the things I've gone through. I mean, so I almost died from having sinusitis seep into the brain. It was like three options the guy was saying. Like, luckily, just the only thing that happened is a doctor happened to come along that was familiar with this case, and he said, no, before you cut out the eye, let's check something out. And also he just double checked something else, because if he didn't check it, the poison still would have kept going and I would have died. So I was just like one doctor away from like either being blind in one eye or being dead. I mean, that's how close life is. And also, I just remember how I was in a hospital for almost for like a month or two, and they would not let me out the hospital. I remember seeing all the people come in, and usually when you go to the intensive care unit, like if you're in there over like a week or 2 weeks, then you're in bad shape. Either you're gonna die or you're close to dying. I remember I was there for at least a week, about at least 2 or 3 weeks, man. It just sucked. But I just know how close you are to how close you are to like, I was just remember like how close I am to just, you never know how close you are to like meeting up with that crazy person in the alley, having that doctor who may not give you the proper diagnosis. So as I'm moving into my new apartment now, I'm just reflecting like, yeah, this is escape from my apartment day 18, but hey, what else have I escaped from? Hey, the cop shooting, gangster shooting, cancer, the sinusitis. What else did I have? Oh, or doing something stupid like when I was in college, I had like a Reliant K car. And if you don't know what a Reliant K car is, I just want you to look it up on the internet. And I tried to outrun a cop in one of those Reliant K cars, and I actually got away. That was so stupid, man, because that cop was so mad. I think I was driving. I came across the median, went the other direction, and then I thought, you know what? Let me try something different, because he may try to catch me going in that direction. So I turned around and went another direction. And after I did that, I was able to get away. So I want you to, I mean, today was just a day for me to like take a break from almost saying escape from my hotel or escape from this or escape from that, or just reflection of like, hey, being a little bit patient and a little bit lucky. Like, lucky for me, I had an extra $1,000 saved up, so now I can get out of a bad situation with like the barking dogs and the loud neighbors. So that's what it is. If you just take a little bit of preventive energy, a little bit of preventive action can save you in the long run. And just always remember, like, that's what I'm going to remember. You're always a couple of seconds from having a lot of good luck or a lot of bad luck.